and Cam Newton was benched. He threw 3 interceptions in the first half. I can't remember the last quarterback that I've ever seen that threw 3 interceptions in the first half and didn't get benched. But, this was a very ugly game for the New England Patriots. I mean, they got beat 33-6 by the 49ers. This is a 49ers team that was injured, beat up, came in, laid the smack down against the Patriots. Cam Newton looked abysmal. I mean, he looked bad. His passes looked like crap. His accuracy looked like junk. I mean, it was an all-around dumpster fire, for lack of a better word. And when we're talking about what happened with Cam Newton, I've done a couple of videos on Cam Newton and just on his ability as a quarterback. And I tell people this all the time, if you really dive into Cam Newton's game and you look at the stats and you check out a little bit of film on Cam Newton, one thing you'll notice is that he is one of the streakiest passers of the quote unquote elite level quarterbacks in the NFL. He's one of the streakiest guys out there. And really, the fact of the matter with him is that even in his MVP season, his Super Bowl season, 2015, I believe, even in that season, if you looked at his stats and you looked at his quarterback rating and you looked at his completion percentage and all of the major categories for passing for quarterbacks, this guy was middle of the pack. He was middle of the pack. Middle of the pack. This guy was average at his best. He was average throwing the ball. So you want to tailor your system around what he does bring to the table. And he's a versatile quarterback. He does have athletic ability that is hard to find at the quarterback position. He came into the league as a phenom because of that. And a lot of the success that he had early in his career was because of his ability to play as a little bit of a mix between guys like Vince Young and Vince Young splashed with a cannon arm, with a kind of Phillip Rivers type arm. He can throw the ball for days. He can get it all over the field, but he's not going to always be that accurate. And again, you can't be so surprised that this kind of thing happens if you're going to put it on Cam Newton to bring your team back. I don't think Cam Newton was ever really a great quarterback at bringing teams back from large deficits. And with no weapons in New England, because he has no weapons, there's no receivers. They don't really have much of a running game. Their offensive line isn't very good. This is a team that is in need of a lot of new talent. And, he's not the guy who's going to be able to carry a team that isn't already in a good space and have an identity that they know that they're going to follow. He's just not that good of a quarterback. And I mean, the New England Patriots are in a pretty rough scenario as it is. I mean, there's rumors about Stephon Gilmore being traded. That's something that would be, breaking news most definitely if that turns out to be, something that comes to fruition. If this guy gets traded, you now have a defense that is now decimated of its star player. You have an offense that can't get the star that they brought in to perform on the level that they hoped that he would. And, that's going to lead to high draft picks. If it's for the Patriots, that's going to lead to high draft picks. These guys are going to be looking to pick some high quality college players if they can't get this thing figured out. So I would assume actually that the Patriots might be one of those teams that is trying to make a move before the trade deadline, and maybe they're looking to get a guy like Fitzpatrick. Maybe they're looking to, maybe they might try and get rid of Cam. Maybe they're going to cut their losses. We don't know. I think that it's I think that as his situation sits right now, I wouldn't bench him for the next game. I would have him starting at quarterback, because you got to give him that one game benefit. I mean, you can have a pretty crappy game, And there's, a chance for you to bounce back from that. I mean, that's something that happens often. I mean, players can have bad weeks. We've seen it with guys like Peyton Manning. We've seen it with guys like, any of the star quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, any of them. You've seen them have bad games and bounce back from that. So I would assume that that with Bill Belichick giving his full support to Cam Newton, that they are going to commit, I would think, at least for one more game. It can't be as bad as this game against the 49ers. We know that much. Can't be as bad as this game with the Niners. But Cam Newton's got to work on he's got to get back down to the basics. He's got to start working on his mechanics, his technique. Has to be refined again, because, you could see in a lot of his passes, at least from what I noticed, when he's throwing the ball on some of those passes that were just horribly off, the ball doesn't come out of his hand until he's in his downswing, and you're supposed to be getting that ball out at the peak, at the top of your swing, the top of your rotation, and he wasn't doing that. I mean, he threw one ball dead in the dirt. It was ugly. He threw it dead in the dirt. You could tell the ball didn't come out of his hand until his wrist was starting to point downward. The ball went about 8 yards and just bounced off the ground, one-hopped it. That's a technique thing, and maybe it's, maybe he's still not recovered from COVID like he thought he may have been. I mean, it's, it could be a situation where he's still dealing with some slight after effects from that, and now here he is. He's got people on his back. Maybe we don't know the whole story, but if I'm Bill Belichick, I take that same action. You got to stick with him for another week. And you got to see how he does. You got to see if he can rebound from this. Get back to just simplifying in his mind what he needs to do. And I would assume that he'll have a better performance than he did against the Niners. But Cam Newton definitely in a situation where he needs to bounce back, and he needs to bounce back well.